r/AskReddit. Redditors who have met a former crush years later. How did it turn out? Found out she was fat and unattractive. Then I realized I was too. One of the most realistic replies. Ran into her some years later in our mid-20s at a New Year's party. We both were just recently single and started to click. Eventually we both confessed to a mutual crush in high school. Then as the night went on and beer flowed, she jerked off 2 random guys in the living room. Edit. Holy karma. You/Jejuna is a bitch. Oh. Good. We had tacos, then did oral stuff in my car behind Tackable, and haven't spoken since. Interesting marketing strategy from Tackable. Hadn't seen her in 15 years. Ran into each other online. Decided to meet up for dinner. Married now for 5 years and 1 kid. Dinner at Taco Bell. I liked her when we were 15, but she wasn't nice to me. I ran into her when we were 23, and she looked so old I didn't recognize her. When she realized I didn't recognize her, she began to cry and ran to the bathroom. Never saw her again. Update. Thanks for all the questions. I had rather sad answers to most of you. 1. We definitely weren't at Taco Bell, aka the Aphrodite of fast foods. 2. I'm confident she wasn't a faceless man who was accidentally named by her friend. Had a crush on her all through freshman and sophomore year. She kissed me at the end of sophomore year. I failed to reciprocate, basically ran away from her. Extreme social anxiety. I switched schools after disappearing for the summer, not because of the kiss, but when school started again I walked to her school every day for half of the year in hopes of having the balls to make a move. Saw her each day. Failed each day. She obviously got tired of waiting. Ended up with another guy. I gave up. Come end of senior year she shows up at my school to see some guy. Saw me, literally jumped into my arms, and forced her phone number on me. Together 7 years come November. I proposed to her around a week ago. Edit. Thank you for the gold, you amazing person. Edit 2. For those who have asked, she said yes. Though the proposal was more of a discussion of the ring I'm trying to have made for her. Social awkwardness for the win. When I was in first year I had the stupidest little girl crush on this guy in my program. And I had no idea how to express it, so I think I thoroughly creeped him out with my staring and pathetic attempts to get him to have coffee with me and such. Anyway, that was 8 years ago, and I've really matured as a person since then. I hadn't even thought of him in years when I ran into him. I was actually excited to find out he worked at a store I was planning to go to. I thought I can finally have a normal conversation with crush. He'll see I'm not a creepy weirdo anymore. Anyway, when I ran into him our conversation went like this. Me, hey, crush, how's it going? Him, good thanks. How are you? Me, good thanks. How are you? And then it just spiraled into awkwardness from there. Guess some people just bring it out of me. Well, she got hotter, and I leveled off. Still wouldn't suck my willy, and I was even at Taco Bell. Went out for drinks, still fixated on her, was given a chance, got wasted and embarrassed myself by spending so much of the night talking about how much my younger self liked her, extolling her virtues. Like it was years ago, mentioned how crazy and awesome it was that I was finally getting my chance. It was sad as shit. I didn't realize how bad I ducked up until I sobered up, woke up and immediately knew I would not be given a second opportunity. Saw her reactions and responses from the previous night with a sober eye. Realized the massive amount of I'm going to be polite, but I've made a mistake that was continuously written across her face. Embarrassing. Had drinks. Went back to her hotel. Basically did not leave it for 2 days. Netflix marathon. They were just chilling. We started a small thing when we were around 17 years old. Didn't work out cause she was spoiled and I was pretty heartless a-hole. Fast forward a few relationships for us both, 11 years of growth, and she came back into my life a few months ago. We are dating and life is pretty good now, couldn't ask for anything more. Sometimes it's the right person, but the wrong time. My wife's former crush randomly messaged her on Facebook one day. She ducked him on day 2. She's now my ex-wife. She's jobless, living with his mom, and I have the kids. Edit. It would figure that this is my most upvoted post. My kids are 5 and 3, so they don't understand it much, but I'm hoping for the long game, when they realize which parent was really there for them. My son still says hurtful things at times, like I don't want to live with you anymore, I want to live with mommy when he's angry. Thank you everyone for making my week, I really needed to smile. It's my son's first week in kindergarten, and dealing with her through the process has been hell. She was in my class back in kindergarten, in my class again in 3rd grade. Showed her my boxers, and she was now my girlfriend. Then I discovered she cheated on me with my best friend. I saw him showing her his underwear. Needless to say, I've moved on from that event in my life. But if you are out there, Olivia or Matt, duck you. Will likely be buried forever, but what the heck. Had a crush on this girl in grade school, 1st/2nd. Playdates, video games, action figures. Life was good. Bought her a present at a 5 and 10, because I thought she'd like it. It was a ring. She was ultra embarrassed and ran off. My parents still have not let me forget that. She changed schools for other reasons. That next year. Fast forward 14 years. Graduated from undergrad, working for a company in my hometown, and working on getting accepted to medical school. About 4 drinks one night with friends, and who should come by but her? Beautiful, great taste in music, smiles at my jokes. Smitten. Fast forward several more years. Gave her a ring again. She did not run away. Happily married several years. Saw her at the 10-year high school reunion. She was a bit heavier than she'd been in high school, but still attractive. She was there with her Ivy League fiancé. These two facts combined to change my mindset from I wanna bang my high school crush at our reunion to oh well, never mind. At one point, we were being recognized for something, and with all eyes on us, she leaned over and said, I remember what a crush you had on me. You wanted me bad. First, I couldn't really react, given the immediate circumstances. Second, I didn't detect any kind of Taco Bell type invitation in what she'd said. Sorry. In fact, it almost seemed like she was just lording it over me. I mean, she was there with her fiancé, who we'd determined in previous small talk she loved and who was awesome. For some reason, it really pissed me off. I just gave her a blank look, shrugged, and walked away. To this day, I wish I'd had some kind of witty comeback, but that's about my only regret. Haven't seen her since, but I hope she's happy, and blah, blah, blah. I was in love with him for most of my lower teenage years. He was my best friend, but I broke it off when I found out he'd been talking shit behind my back. I never thought he meant what he said about me, but I do know he was desperate to be liked by people and didn't mind shitting on me to seem cooler to them. Of course the people he talked to told me about it. I sent him a handwritten letter explaining what I'd heard, and also that I was still in love with him and couldn't be just friends. We met up when I was 19, about 3 years since we'd last seen each other. He was as charming as he'd always been, and I realized how quickly we fell back into our previous roles. Him being cool but kind of an a-hole, and me hanging off his every word. I'm happy we met up, because it gave me some closure to realize I didn't feel the same as I did about him, and that he was even more of an asshole. I still think about him sometimes, but much more soberly than I did when we still hung out. Super. We originally met my freshman year of high school, his senior year. 3 years later, we met again. I still had a crush. We became really good friends, then started dating after I graduated. We are now married and have been for over 2 years. We had a beer, talked a bit. It was nice. She was even hotter than before. I was now swole, made decent money, decent haircut, clothes, etc. Thought I had a shot. I clean up real good. She never called me back when I asked her to go to a show. Last I looked on Facebook, she's married now. That was like 6 or 7 years ago. Now I just quietly weep in the dark and drink and watch Netflix. Don't go out much anymore. Thanks op for reminding me, jackass. Tried to pull an ultimatum on me in high school. Do this or we're over. I called her bluff and that's how our relationship ended. 10ish years later we are both single and I visit her on a lark. Turns out she's sleeping with a divorced man and trying to get him to abandon his wife and daughter. Yeah. Also her apartment was absolutely filthy. I mean, I'm no prize, but I've tried to ruin exactly 0 families. But we've been dating for almost a year now. He was my crush back in junior high. He didn't even know me. He was in the French stream. I was in English. We connected over 10 years later on Tinder. He asked what my spirit animal was, and I said Iggy Azalea, and that was that. I wasn't all that interested in him when we went out, but for some reason it worked out. I didn't tell him until our 5th date that I already knew him from before. He looks like a taller version of what he did back then. It's a little weird. Last time I saw her when I was 12. I was 35 when I did some research on the internet and found her. I sent her a letter saying hi and was curious on how she was doing. Gave my email address and cell phone number. 3 weeks went by and get a message through Facebook from her saying, "I'm fine. Married with twin boys. Don't contact me again." 6 months go by and my parents get a phone call from a guy saying he's her ex-husband and wanted to talk to me. I call him from a friend's cell phone. He tells me that she's in a marriage with an extremely controlling husband and I should be careful. I thank him for letting me know and hang up. I've stayed away ever since. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.